Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. According to a recent article from Forbes, banks spend heavily to acquire customers, with traditional retail banks spending anywhere from $175 to $400 or more on average for a customer acquisition. This is all done just to convince you to open a credit card, counting on the fact that most people won't simply take the welcome bonus and walk away. Now, this is the reason why 3 in 5 credit card holders, or 61% of people with credit card balances, have been in debt for at least a year, and that's up to 53% from late 2024. This includes 31% of those who have been in debt for at least 3 years and 21% who have been in debt for at least 5 years. The average person carries a balance and ends up paying thousands of dollars in interest. But there is a small group of people who have learned how to flip the script, collect the bonus, and move on before the bank ever makes a single dollar from them. So today, I'm breaking down exactly how credit card churning works, how people earn $5,000 to $20,000 a year in free travel and cash, why banks are desperately trying to slow this down, even though they can't really stop it. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. We'll begin by breaking down credit card economics and how this actually works from a bank's perspective. Now, when a bank like Chase offers you 100,000 points worth around $1,500 for signing up and spending $4,000 in 3 months, that's not generosity. It's a calculated bet. They're betting that, like most Americans, you'll eventually carry a balance and pay interest for years. And statistically speaking, that bet usually pays off. Based on data from late 2025 and early 2026, roughly half of Americans carry credit card debt, and the average balance is over $6,000, and that's at a 23% APR. So that can translate to more than $100 per month in interest alone. Studies have shown that a customer that carries a balance can generate around $240 per year in profit for a bank, while someone who pays in full every month can generate closer to, let's say, $25. That's nearly a 10-to-1 difference. So when a bank spends $400 or more to acquire a customer, they can expect to recover that cost within a few years of interest payments and then profit for decades afterwards. But something very different happens when you collect the sign-up bonus, pay your balance in full every month, and stop using the card after a year. The bank never earns back that acquisition cost. They lose money on you, and if you repeat this across multiple banks several times a year, collecting $500 to $1,500 bonuses each time, you're essentially flipping the economics of the entire system. Now, this strategy is known as credit card churning, and it's completely legal, even though banks dislike it. It's because eliminating sign-up bonuses would hurt their ability to attract new customers. A famous example happened when Chase launched the Sapphire Reserve in 2016 with a 100,000 point bonus that was worth around $1,500. The card exploded in popularity, people rushed to apply, and Chase initially expected to lose about $1,300 per customer up front, but planned to break even within a few years. Instead, bonus hunters would flood the offer, grab the points, and then just moved on. Analysts later estimated that the bank lost around $2 billion in over 5 years because far more people took the bonus without becoming long-term interest-paying customers, which then made them increase the annual fee on the card. And you guys will notice this whenever banks are not able to recoup, they end up taking back some offers or changing around their actual perks, or they require you to have to spend more in order to actually get bonuses and things like that. Built 2.0 is a great example of this. Banks have lost billions of dollars simply because some people read the fine print and they follow the rules. And that leads to an obvious question. How much value is actually available right now? Well, let's talk about it. Right now, the bonuses on the table are honestly kind of ridiculous, and these are available at the time of recording because depending on when you're watching this, this obviously will change. Now, the Capital One Venture X business card has been offering 150,000 miles after $30,000 in spend within 3 months, which can be worth roughly $1,500 in travel. The Chase Sapphire Reserve for business has floated a similar 150,000 point offer worth around $1,500 in cash back, or it could be $1,875 to $2,250 if you're using the Chase Travel Portal, or potentially $3,000 or more if you're using transfer partners. On the personal side, targeted American Express Platinum offers can reach 175,000 membership reward points or $1,750 in value when you book travel through Amex Travel, while the standard Chase Sapphire Reserve has a bonus around 125,000 bonus points worth around $1,875 to $2,500 depending on how you redeem. Now, the cards I just mentioned, they all have very high annual fees, so if that's not your thing, there's also the Chase Ink Cash Business Card that's offering $750 for $6,000 in spending with no annual fee at all. And if you're pretty savvy, I did this myself, there's a 5% category that I spent all the money on, all $6,000, and then I was able to actually get 5% back there. So I got around, I believe, $1,050 in total. Now, a lot of people are thinking, well, I don't have a business card, I don't own a business, how can I do this? But in reality, the definition of a business is much broader than most people realize. If you've ever sold anything on eBay or Craigslist, or done freelance work, or you've done someone's hair, Uber, anything like that, if you made money from a garage sale, then technically you earn business income. You do not need to be an LLC. You don't need to have employees or a storefront. I have an entire video that shows you how to get approved for business credit cards as a sole proprietor. I'm gonna link that video right here. And then of course, the next question that I'm sure that you're going to ask yourself, realistically, how much money can you earn doing this? The credit card churning community is massive. I'm sure some of you are already a part of it, with hundreds of thousands of members tracking their results obsessively. And the numbers can actually be very eye-opening. I've seen other YouTubers discuss making $20,000 in a single year for sign-up bonuses alone, not even counting the points earned from normal spending. Personally, I've done this myself. I've done this with bank bonus hacking and have done like 20,000 to 30,000. With credit card offers, I've definitely done around 15 to 20,000, as well as looking at brokerage account offers. That will be for much bigger balances, but those are really good as well. But the typical result tends to fall into tiers, like casual churners who open maybe 2 to 4 cards per year. Often they extract around $1,000 to around $3,000 in value. There's also moderate churners opening 4 to 8 cards per year, and you can earn roughly $3,000 to $7,000. And then there's serious churners running maybe 8 to 15 cards annually, and they can reach $7,000 to $15,000. And the most advanced churners who use techniques like manufactured spending sometimes report earnings of $15,000 to $30,000 per year. And I really want you guys to think about this for a second. You can go to your employer, have a 401k match. You can be doing everything right and getting that 6% match from your employer. You still will not get around $15,000 to $30,000 more than likely in a single year at your average job. Now, if you were to actually do this, let's say 1 year, maybe you did credit cards and you earned $15,000 to let's say $30,000. You can then put something like that into a Roth IRA. That's exactly what I did. Now that money can grow tax-free from my retirement. Then let's say you did it with bank bonus hacking. That's another $30,000. Within roughly, I would say 24 to even 48 months, you could have $60,000 in a retirement account growing for you tax-free. Now, that's just one example of what I did with the money, but I'm just saying that if you're working hard, it's good to take advantage of these deals while they're around and leveraging good personal credit and some spending that you may have already planned on doing, whether personal or for your business. Again, it's just something to consider. But before this starts sounding too easy, it is important to understand that banks have built defenses. They know that this exists and they've created rules that are designed to slow people down. Now let's talk about those rules next. The first rule that everyone learns about is called Chase 524. So if you've opened 5 or more credit cards from any bank in the past 24 months, Chase will automatically deny you for most of their cards. That's a big deal because Chase has one of the strongest transferable points ecosystems that you can ever use, and that's why the churning community will repeat this same advice over and over. Get your Chase cards first before you trigger 524. American Express has its own guardrails. Their most famous rule is the once per lifetime bonus policy. So if you've ever had specific American Express cards and received a welcome bonus, you typically won't be eligible to earn that bonus ever again. Even if you closed that card years ago, they really just give you that welcome bonus one time. Their system keeps the history, and American Express also has something that people call pop-up jail or pop-up. You can apply for a card, still get approved, but then you'll see a message that's telling you that you're not eligible for any welcome bonuses. Now, this usually happens if you opened and closed too many American Express cards, or if you don't put much spend on the Amex cards that you already have. Citibank also has its own pacing limits, often referred to as the 8 and 65 rule. You can generally apply for one Citibank card every 8 days and 2 cards every 65 days, and they usually require a long waiting period between earning bonuses on the same card. Bank of America has similar velocity limits, commonly called the 2-3-4 rule, which restricts how many cards you can open within a certain time frame. And then there's the nuclear option, which are shutdowns. Banks can close your accounts entirely if they believe your activity looks too risky or unprofitable. And there have been cases where entire relationships were terminated at once: credit cards, checking accounts, business accounts, everything. Some people even end up unable to get approved for years, and American Express can even take back points if you cancel your card too quickly. Literally, they can take those bonus points away from your account. So there are real risks, and understanding these rules is what separates smart strategies from reckless behavior. Now, I do have a video called "Apply for a Credit Card This Often and Never Get Denied Again," and I go over all of these rules. So if you want an in-depth review of credit card rules, watch that video. I'll link it right here. So let's address a few more concerns, starting with your credit score. Now, most people assume that opening a lot of credit cards will destroy your credit. The data tells a very different story. A hard inquiry from a credit card application typically costs fewer than 5 points according to FICO, and inquiries stop impacting your score after around 12 months. New credit only makes up roughly 10% of your overall FICO score. However, opening new cards will increase your total available credit, which does lower your overall utilization ratio. And utilization makes up 30% of your credit score, which is far more important than inquiries. Now, imagine you have $10,000 in total credit and you carry a $2,000 balance. That is 20% utilization. Now, imagine that you open several new cards and your total credit jumps to $50,000 while your balance will stay the exact same. Suddenly, your overall utilization will drop to 4% and your score often will rise as a result. Now, that's why many active churners maintain credit scores above 700 even while opening multiple credit cards each year. Some people have documented opening more than a dozen cards in 2 years while still keeping scores in the 800 range. And I have another video that kind of talks about this, where I pose the question, how many credit cards do you need to have a perfect 800 or 850 credit score? I'll link that video right here if you're interested, but the results might surprise you. However, my strategy is to open business credit cards since they don't show up on your personal credit report. Now, there is one major exception, which is mortgages. So if you're planning to buy a home within the next year, it's smart to pause any new applications and let your credit profile stabilize. Mortgage lenders prefer to see predictable credit history with minimal recent activity. The next big question is how people meet those minimum spending requirements without buying things they don't need. The key is timing. You apply for cards right before a big expense that you were already planning to pay. Maybe it was booking travel, buying furniture, paying insurance premiums, or to cover a large tax bill. Those things can quickly meet your spending threshold. You can also consider prepaying expenses. That'll also help. So let's say that you were going to pay your phone bill for the next year. I did that with the Chase Ink Cash business card because you would get 5% back if you spent in that category. So not only was I able to earn $750, I believe I also earned an additional like $400 on top of that from spending in that category. If you have a partner, then add them as an authorized user, because that will double your spending and that will definitely count towards the minimum requirement. So I have authorized users. I could tell you she spends money, so definitely I'm gonna hit those bonuses. Now, there's also a more advanced strategy called manufactured spending. Now, at a basic level, it involves buying things like prepaid gift cards, converting them into money orders, and depositing the funds and using that money to pay off the credit card. Essentially, you're creating spending with small fees. Now, that's old. I've seen people do that in the past. I don't recommend it. Banks actively monitor this behavior, and that can definitely lead to your account being shut down or rewards being taken back. I've worked at Bank of America. I saw a guy who was spending money in like Gucci and some other places, and he kept spending them like heavily, and then he would return the stuff, and I would see the spend and the return. He would get the bonus and then return it. So I've seen this firsthand, and I'm just letting you know, like from being on the other side, banks noticed that. They can see, I'm pretty sure that his account got shut down and they probably were going to take back all the points. So that's why I don't suggest that. I do have another video where I talk about paying yourself as a business while running your credit card for payroll. So that's actually something that you can do. Or if you have a business, use this for business expenses. I mean, if you spend money to make money, you can run up a large bill because you're gonna spend that money anyway in order to make money for your business. Now, see, to me, that's where it makes sense. And I guess in a way that's not manufactured spending, that's just spending to actually make money. So because of that risk, most people will stick to organic spending and careful timing, which is enough to meet most of the spending requirements without pushing into risky territory. So again, that's my favorite. If you're going to spend money to make money and then you make money for spending money, it's just a win-win situation. Now, if you're new to this, I'm going to give you a simple beginner game plan and anyone can do this. Start with Chase because of the 524 rule. A strong first card is usually like the Chase Sapphire Preferred. After a few months, you can add things like the Chase Freedom Flex or Freedom Unlimited, which keeps you inside that Chase ecosystem. You can also look at the Chase Ink business credit cards. Once again, those don't report to your personal credit, so it won't affect your utilization as well as not impacting your credit score. Now, those personal cards that I mentioned typically have no annual fee, smaller bonuses, but they help you build points and they have long-term flexibility. You also can keep these cards. You don't have to just, get them and cancel them. You can keep them if they're useful. Now, once again, if you have any self-employment income whatsoever, those Chase Ink business credit cards can be especially valuable because they often do come with larger bonuses and sometimes no annual fee. Once you've collected your Chase cards and you're getting close to that 524 limit, you can then branch out to other ecosystems like American Express, Citi, or Capital One. Now, spacing applications 2 to let's say 3 months apart, they will help you keep everything manageable. Setting up auto pay on every card will ensure that you never miss a payment, and tracking deadlines with a spreadsheet or a tool that will keep you organized. If you go to my website, www.successwithstevensmith.com, you can download my free bank bonus hacking tracker form. I have those online. Once again, you go on there, it's free, and you can download that. It was meant for bank bonuses, but it works the exact same way for credit cards. A conservative pace would be maybe 4 to 6 cards per year, and you can realistically generate a few $1,000s in travel or cash value annually with relatively low risk. Over time, that can translate into a free vacation every year simply for being organized and intentional about which cards that you open and how to use them. The reason this strategy works is because banks built their business models expecting most customers to carry balances, pay interest, and forget about the annual fees. Now, the other option that people use is downgrading. I'm sure you've seen this with American Express, where people will get the platinum, use it for that reward, and then they'll download to like the Amex Green card, and they can switch back and forth and go upgrade and downgrade to avoid the annual fee. As long as you're a person who pays in full every month, you move strategically between cards, and you're simply playing by the rules in a way the system didn't think about, then you will be good. Now, we know that banks have responded by adding restrictions and guardrails, hoping most people will not take the time to actually learn about the details. But once you understand how these systems work, the difference often comes down to discipline, organization, and just simply reading the fine print. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're thinking about earning your first sign-up bonus, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below with which card that you're interested in. I do 4 videos every week and I break down money, I break down credit cards. I do all of this in the hopes that you'll never look at credit cards or offers or things like that in the same way again, or money as a whole. Also, drop a comment and let me know if you're going to try this. And again, which cards are you looking at first? And if you're already churning, what's your yearly haul? How much have you actually made doing this? I really want to hear those numbers. Now, go grab that sign up bonus. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, you guys have a wonderful day.